So without further ado, Rory, I will hand it over to you to kick us off.
Welcome to Power Apps for Big Kids and Little Kids. We're now on to session number 5. I don't know whether or not we thought we would get there at the start, but it's fantastic that we're here now and people are hearing and talking about Power Apps, and they're kind of realizing that there's in fact, I've just shared the wrong screen. People are realizing that there is some kind of relevance for Power Apps for children, and we've shown a number of things over the weeks. So what I'd like to do now is just talk you through how the session is going to run today. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Matt Devaney from Canada, who's been supporting the team for a number of sessions now, and he's going to talk about what is Power Apps and why we should learn Power Apps. And we do this in every session because it's important for us to know why we do this. So I'm going to do a little session recap. About last time round. We're then going to have Michelle on, who Michelle was on last time, and she's going to do us a 5 minutes to wow session. So this is our second 5 minutes to wow session. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is all about using the audio control. We're then going to go on to lesson time. So I'm going to do a little session on how to use galleries. And then we're going to move on to star of the show. We've got Matt Devaney, and he is going to show us how to build a quiz using Power Apps. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how many answers I can get right. And then the final thing is I'm going to see if I can show you a little bit about how Power Apps for Kids works on the web. Show you a little bit about the website, because we've done loads of things in there, but you probably need a little bit of guidance as to how to use it. So and then finally we'll finish up with a survey, and then you can all go home and have your tea and then move on to the projects that we may have set you. So the next session will be on the 18th of August, so we're really looking forward to that, and we'll announce the presenter in due course. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to Matt Devaney. And Matt, if you can just give us a couple of minutes on why Power Apps, just do it in your own special way.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Rory. Hello, everyone. Hi, boys and girls. So Power Apps lets you make your own apps and play them on your computer or your phone or your tablet. Grown-ups like me like to use it to build apps for our companies to make work easier to do. But the really cool thing is you can make just about anything you want with it. You can make games, you can make interactive stories, you can make trading card apps. And if you put the time in to learn it, you can build absolutely amazing things. Now, you might have heard of some other ways to make, apps from your school or from your friends, and that's awesome. Coding is awesome. You should take any opportunity you can to do it. I want to tell you why I think Power Apps is truly special. Anyone can build an app with it. It doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 50 years old or 34 and a half like me. It's very visual. You can just click and place parts of your app onto the screen with your mouse. You do have to do a little bit of typing, right? A little bit of code on the keyboard, but I find it much simpler than anything else I've ever used. And to be honest, it's just as powerful. You can make anything you want. And the best part is we can learn how to do it all here together on Power Apps for Kids. Thanks, Rory. Back to you.
Fantastic. So thanks for that, Matt. That's a really good way, and it's kind of like an exciting way of thinking about Power Apps, and we'll see a little bit more of that as the session goes on. So I just want to do a recap of the last session that we had. So in the last session we had a sign language app. So that was our Power App. Our 5 minutes to wow session was that Beth, who had never made an app before, made us an app where she was able to type in anything she wanted, really. And it was really, really simple to use. And by all means, if you want to watch that session, you can go and do that on the YouTube channel and so on. And then we had a really cool game where Michelle showed us how to build a rock, paper, scissors game using these lovely images, and we were able to she was able to play that game for us. So it was a really nice visual game that we had to play, and we did a little bit of looking at the website, but the website is always changing all the time. So that's a little recap of the last session, but by all means, you can pick up on the YouTube channel at your leisure. I'm now going to move. I'm now going to move back to. We're actually going to. This is my the beauty of me and PowerPoint. I don't think we get on at all. So let me just get myself back into gear here. So we've done the recap of last session, and now what we're going to do is every session that we do, I would like us to have a 5 minutes to wow, because it's really important that sometimes our apps are really complicated, but sometimes it's worth remembering that in a short period of time we can do things that are really special. So what I'd like to do now is hand over to Michelle, and she will demonstrate for us 5 minutes to wow. So Michelle, if you can take over the screen for us,
yes,
that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I just share my screen first. That should be easier. I also prepared a little bit slides for this, and I hope I can do it within 5 minutes. You can all see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's right. A little bit about myself. I'm Michelle Wong. Last time I also present a game, rock, paper, and scissors. And this time I think it's good to learn big kids and little kids how to use sound in a PowerApp. Because if you have a game, we made some games before, but it's also good to get some sound effects into it. So this time the 5 minutes of wow will be about sound effects. So if I here's about the information how you can do this in PowerApps. First of all, you have a sound audio file. You have to insert that into PowerApps, and you have to do some definition. You have to set a function on select. So for example, if I click on a button, then I set a variable to true or false, a Boolean. For example, if it's true, then play the sound, and if it's false, stop the sound. So when the sound file, in the sound file, you have some properties. You can set play, start, on, and so forth and so forth. When on the sound file, you have some properties, and in the start, we set the variable into it, and on the end, we set it to we set the variable to false, so the sound will be stopped. So I have prepared two little demos. I'm not presenting both of them. I just do the first one, and the second one we have put it into a GitHub of PowerApps4Kids, so you can download the source files and then try it by yourself. That's also the homework for the kids. So I do the demo of the do not press the button. I go back to my PowerApps. This time I do give it a name. Press the red button. I use a phone layout, and I have prepared some images. You see a red button and a spider, a very scary spider, and in the sound file I have an MP3 audio file that I have downloaded from internet. Okay, here's the app. I just give it a color, background color. I go to the media file and upload all the images that I have prepared. Both images and the audio file. So I do some settings first. So here's the button, and I insert a label, and I say do not press the red button. I give it a warning. Just do some settings, redesign, and so it's looking good. Set it 40. Font size, some font color in red, just like so. And this is the first setup, and I insert the audio file. I can click on the audio, but I can also go to the media, and I say an audio input. And on the audio, I can say here, add a media file, and it will connect with the hit button that I have here, over here. Yeah. And if I just
MP3, okay.
It's an MP3, yes. If I just play the file, you see it's a hit. You can hit the sound effect.
We can't hear your audio because I think when you first went in, you know, when you first share your screen, you get an option to share your computer audio, and you have to tick it when you start sharing your screen. So we can't hear your audio at the moment, as in we can't hear your computer audio. So you might want to unshare and then share, or maybe just do it at the end. So if you stop sharing it and then reshare your screen, you'll get an option just as you come in on the top left, on the left hand. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it. Yes.
Oh, you start. Brilliant. Woohoo.
Now I just try it again. Can you hear this?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you, Rory. Okay, so now you see the sound effect. Just every time I just on the play, you see the play controls, and then you heard this sound. What I want to do is, if I click on this button, I have an onSelect function, onSelect property, and here I just set the function, the set function of a variable that we have learned before. For example, button pressed. Oops. So, and I set it to true. And when and on this file, we have on the audio file, on the advanced, we can just show the more options. And on the start, we set here our button pressed variable. So if it's select on the button, it will turn true. Also, if we have, when the file is finished, we have an on end, and here we set the variable back to false. So it the sound will be refreshed and set as the default value. Set button pressed to false. So here we go. If I on the back to the audio, I can say this audio I just set it on invisible. And if I play this again, the time I put on the button, I heard a sound effect. And to give this a little bit more interaction and funny, I have a very scary spider over here. And on this spider, I can set the visibility also, because we have the true and false of this variable. We know when it's true, then show the spider, and when it's false, just remove this. So we get a little bit effect of the sound. And so the sound will play, and also the image will show, and after the sound stopped, the variable set the button to false, and also the image will be invisible. So a little bit sound effects. So, and this is the 5 minutes of wow I want to show you. And I also prepared another project that's an animal farm. And I'm not going to tell this because this takes a little bit more time, but it's only a lot of images I have inserted and a lot of video, sound files. We have put it into a GitHub, so you can download the files. Here are the MP3 files and the images. So,
and I've just shared the link in the chat.
So you can, yeah, you can. I just want to play it. You can see the effects, and then I would like the small little kids to try this by themselves, and maybe they can show their own animal farm they have created and show this to us. So that will be funny. I just played this and then I finished. So this, and if I click on the pause, you can see some sound effects. If I click on the mouse, the cat, and the dogs, you hear a lot of things. So it's just a little game. You can show it to the little kids.
It is quite a funny app, actually. I like this one. You know, I think sound in your apps is quite cool. We don't do it that much generally in our apps, but I think it's kind of nice. It's always almost like a surprise when that happens. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that. So just remember, because that probably some of those bits will have gone through really, really quickly for the people that have watched this. So just remember, you can watch the video through, and you can also download it using the link that I've just given you. And I'll try and show you at the end how to use the website so that you can also get to it, because we've already loaded up the app there. So I'm going to keep the pace going. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. And we're going to move on to a bit of lesson time. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, if that's all right. So I will just try and share my screen. So here we go. So PowerPoint. So thank you for that. So I'm going to do a little session on galleries, because we're going to be using galleries in our next session with Matt. So I'm just going to do a session as quickly as I possibly can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare for you show you an app that uses a gallery, and all will be revealed. So here we are now in PowerApps. Okay, I've already started things off. Now, the only thing I've done in this app so far is I have imported some data into the app, and all that there's in the data is we've just got a little Excel spreadsheet. And I want to try and see if I can show you the spreadsheet, because it's pretty simple as to what's in there. And I just want to show you how simple it is. So this is the spreadsheet here. And funny enough, one of the things we've got in there is the animal farm resources. This is a spreadsheet with all of the resources that you can use for PowerApps for Kids. And I've imported that into here. And what I'm going to do is show you that you can use galleries to present that information. So the first thing I'm going to do is go Insert, Gallery, and I'm going to do a vertical gallery. That means the top one is at the top and the next one at the bottom. The reason why, there's a horizontal one which goes from left to right. So what it then says to us, well, what data do you want to have in your gallery? And I would click on the PowerApps for Kids thing. And then what it always does is it kind of guesses what we want to have in our gallery. And it's just guessed wrong in this case. So what I'm going to do is change the layout to just be, I'm going to make it title only. and it'll have another guess, and it'll guess wrong again. And what I'm going to do is it's going to be this item dot. I can't actually remember the field names, so so it'll be like, let's go with title. So this item dot title. So what we can start doing is we can start adding in little bits and pieces from the spreadsheet. So so I know that I've got a URL of the content. I know that we've got that available to us. So now we can bring in lots of different things, and I can sort of show that we can actually we can do things like we can kind of make it a bit bigger, and maybe even make it a little bit wider. Now, what we can also do with galleries, we can sort them, because it's not very good at the moment, because you've got it kind of goes A, C, D, H, H. Well, do you know what? It probably P. It's kind of sorted at the moment. It might well be sorted, but you would normally put a sort on that. So you do sort of what's in the table, and then how do you want to sort it? And I'm going to sort it by title. And then you need to say whether or not it's ascending or not. So I'll just go ascending and then click OK. And then that means it will go from A through to Z. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button on there. And so in goes my button. And then it says to me, what do you want to do when I select it? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch, because the launch is a special command. And I'm going to do this item dot URL content, and then click that. So now we're looking at one of the items there. It's actually going to launch this thing here. So if we actually click the play button, what it's going to do is actually going to take us all the way off to the Animal Farm resources. So that's quite cool. But not the other thing that's cool is, because we've got YouTube videos, we can actually do insert media, and we can put in video, and we can actually make the video the actual YouTube video. So we can actually make the video is be this item dot URL. Now it won't work for all of them, because not all of them are actually videos. But that should, now I should have got that right. Now it won't work for some of them, but you can see here for the ones that are actually YouTube videos, it will actually work for them. And I could do some special rules to make sure it doesn't show if it was a YouTube video. That would be easy enough to do. But that was all I wanted to show you on galleries. That is the quickest way I can show. Maybe gallery isn't the right way of showing it, a right word for it, but that's all they are. They're just expressions of a table of data. And just remind ourselves that that table of data, it's just this. That's all it is. So with that, I am going to end the lesson on galleries, and I'm going to hand over to Matt, who's going to do the game, the quiz game for us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Matt, you have the floor.
Of course. Thanks again, Rory. That YouTube app is amazing. You know, back in my day, they would have paid us millions of pounds to make that app and release it on the internet. So hats off to you, bravo. You've done it in 5 minutes.
Thank you. Well, I can't take all the credit.
That's awesome. So hello again, boys and girls. Today, what I'd like to share with you is how to build a quiz game in PowerApps. And I'm going to share my screen right here, and I hope you can all see my quiz game. Now, I really like quiz games for a couple of reasons. First is you can play quiz games indoors, and we're all spending a lot of time indoors lately. I can play them with my friends. You know, they're very social. We can ask each other questions, have a lot of fun. And also I feel really smart whenever I get an answer right. And I really like that feeling. So this is my quiz game. And on the screen, you can see that I've built 2 quizzes. One is about the movie Frozen, and the other is a quiz about animals. And we can click on one of these buttons to see a quiz. So let's pretend that I have a computer or an iPad in front of me, and I'm looking at this app, and you know, I could ask a question to another person, or I could play this game myself. On the left-hand side here are the questions. So this is a question about Frozen. What kingdom do Anna and Elsa live in? Is it Norway, the United Kingdom, Arendelle, or Disneyland? What do you think? I'd like to see your reaction in the chat. What do you think, Rory?
Oh, it's got to be Arendelle.
Are you sure it's not Disneyland?
Well, it was close actually. I was going to go with Snowland, but I think we'll go with Arendelle.
Okay.
I'm not going to be the first one to get a wrong answer.
All right. So we'll choose Arendelle here. Okay. And then you would continue down the quiz. Who is the princess of Arendelle? Is it Anna, Elsa, Olaf, or Kristoff? And I'm going to say, oh, it's got to be Olaf, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You can keep on answering questions. And once you're done, you click on the Show Answers button to reveal the answers to the quiz.
Brilliant.
So I'll click here. And Rory, great job. You got it right. Arendelle. Fantastic.
Go me.
Who knew you were such a fan of the movie Frozen? And me, unfortunately, I got it wrong. Olaf is not a princess. He's just a snowman. So Elsa is the correct answer. So I've got a little X right here. Okay. So then we click this button to, hide the answers once again, and then we could go back out to the home screen and choose to do another quiz about animals. And we've got a really nice picture of a tiger. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So who's excited to build this app?
I am. Go.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And we're going to need to touch on a new concept to make this app that we haven't covered before. And this concept is called data sources, or Excel. So the questions inside my app aren't actually stored inside PowerApps. They're stored inside something called Excel, which is a data source. It's just a big table of all the questions, a big list of all the questions. Okay, so you might be wondering, why isn't that information stored inside my Power app? Well, the answer has to do with grown-ups, unfortunately. And grown-ups have their data everywhere. They might have it in Excel or on a website or something called a database or a server, and they don't really want to be told, where they have to put their data or to write it again. So PowerApps lets you connect to all types of different data sources where questions might be stored, so you can go and use them inside your apps. So today I'm going to show you how to use Excel to store questions for your app and then bring them into PowerApps. So here's how you get to Excel on your computer. So I'm going to open up my computer screen here. Okay, so if you're using a Windows computer, you go down to the search bar down here and you type in the word Excel, E-X-C-E-L, and click the first option. And it's just going to open up just like that. Perfect. And now I will just share Excel only so we can focus in on this screen. Great. So we're going to create our questions for this quiz now, and just watch carefully how I do it. We're going to click right over here in this cell A1, and the first thing we're going to write is quiz name, because all of the quiz names are going to be stored directly beneath it. Next, I'm going to type question, because that's the spot in the list where I'm going to ask my question. Now we also need places where we can store the possible answers, whether they're true or not true, whether they're correct or not. So we're going to create 4 columns, answer 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. And you'll notice that if you click between these letters up top here, you can kind of drag it back and forth to give you more space and see the questions that you'll be entering. And finally, we will create something here that says correct answer. That's where we'll store the correct answer. Now, does anybody remember the first question to the quiz there? The first question of the quiz was...
I do. I know the answer.
You know the answer. What was the answer?
The answer was Arendelle.
It was Arendelle, yeah. So the first question was, and we'll write it under the question column, what kingdom do Anna and Elsa live in? And there's a question mark like that. We should also put in the quiz name right here, probably. We should say that it's part of the Frozen quiz. Now, there were 4 options in our first question. The first was Norway. The second was the United Kingdom. Third was Arendelle, which is our correct answer. And the fourth one was a really, really silly one, Disneyland. Everyone knows that, you know, Anna and Elsa don't live in Disneyland. In this, right over here, where the correct answer is supposed to go, you want to type Arendelle into there. But a safer way to do it, so you don't make any mistakes, is you right-click on Arendelle with your mouse and click this copy button. Then you click over beside the correct answer and right-click with your mouse, and then click this little clipboard, which means paste. And that means that Arendelle over here is going to be exactly the same as Arendelle over there. Spelling is really, really important for this example. Okay, so I had 5 more questions, but I don't think that you want to see me take the time to put them all in. So I'm just going to put the rest of the questions in this table using a little bit of a fancy magic trick called copying and pasting from another workbook. Okay, but you would just go and type your questions into the quiz. Okay. I need to get control of my screen here once again. There we go. Excel is being a little bit funny. That's great. So now we have, 5 questions here. What kingdom do Anna and Elsa live? Who's the Princess of Arendelle? What's the first song Elsa sings in the movie? And so on and so forth. Now we need to do one more thing to get this information to Power Apps, and we have to create what's called an Excel table. So you do that by clicking anywhere in the center of your data, right? You go to the Insert tab up top here, and then you click on Table. Okay, make sure the little checkbox says My Table Has Headers is clicked, and then click OK. Perfect, and now it's inside a table. So I hope everybody caught that. I'm going to do it one more time, just so everybody sees it. You click somewhere inside your quiz questions. You go to the Insert tab up top. You click Table, and then you click OK, and that's perfect. So now we have a list of questions, and I can see that I made a little bit of a spelling mistake, so I'm going to go and correct that right now. It's perfect. We should give this table a name so Power Apps knows what it does, and so we know what it does. So when you're clicked on this table, you can click on the Design tab in Excel, and then go to the far left top corner, and we can change this table name to Quiz Questions. So when we bring this into Power Apps, we'll be able to know it's the quiz questions because it'll have a really nice name. All right, let's finish this. I want you to click the Save button, which is the little disk in the top right-hand corner. We'll go to this PC, and we'll click Documents and Desktop, and then we're just going to save it on the desktop, and we're going to call it Quiz Game Questions, and then click Save. There we go. There's all our questions for the Frozen quiz. Now, we'll come back in a few minutes and add the questions for the animal quiz, but I think for right now, this is a perfect start to our app. So I hope you all were able to follow along there, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Excel. Now, I'm going to go over into the Power Apps screen, into my web browser, okay? And we're going to create a brand new Power App for this game. How do we do that? Well, here on the Home tab, we click Canvas App from blank. We want to give our game a descriptive name. I'm not too creative, so I'm going to say the name is My Quiz Game. And we want it to be a tablet-style app so that it stretches across the screen like on a computer in a nice rectangular shape. And we'll just give that a moment to load. Was there a question there? No? Okay, we'll move on.
We're all good, thanks. No, I'm a big fan of tablet apps. I think they give you a lot of space just in case you you need a bit more room and so on. And the chances are your quiz isn't going to be, on a phone anyway, and you can still just turn your phone on its side, and you still can work, so you're fine.
That's absolutely right, Rory. It really gives you a lot of space that you can spread out and be creative. So now what we want to do is we want to bring our quiz questions into the app, and it's looking pretty plain and boring right now, but we're going to get it looking nice really, really soon. So what I want you to do is click on this little, what do we call this? A cylinder on the right-hand side. And then it says there's no data in your app. So we want to click on Add Data because we just made some data in Excel. It says select a data source. So I'm going to type in Excel because that's where the data came from. I'm going to click the only option right here. And it brings up another window, which you might not be able to see right now. So I'm going to actually have to go and share my desktop screen.
No, we had that. We had that just then.
You had it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's fine. I can see it now.
I'm not 100% confident sometimes there. So you want to click on Quiz Game Question, which is the name of the spreadsheet we just made, the Excel sheet, and click Open. Now you go to Quiz Questions on the right-hand side and give it a click. Remember how we made that table named Quiz Questions, so we know we're bringing in the right one, and then we click Connect. And now the data is inside our app.
So if you forgot to do the quiz questions bit, it would come up with table 1, because it always, if it's never had a table, it'll always call it table 1. So if that's what it comes up with, it's just because you didn't name your table.
That's a great point, Rory. And I do that all the time. I'm always forgetting to name my table. So the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to flip over to my finished app, is we're going to build this part right here. We're going to build the question and answer portion, okay, using the handy tips that Rory gave us on how to build a gallery. So I'm going to place a gallery onto the first screen here by clicking Insert and then clicking on Gallery. And I'm going to choose a blank vertical gallery. Vertical means up and down. When I do that, a little box pops up that says Select a data source. Hey, look, there's our quiz questions that we just put together. Let's click on that. See what happens. Oh, okay. Well, not too much happened there, but we can tell that our quiz questions were added to this gallery, which is going to repeat the questions because we can look over here and it says data sources quiz questions. So let's get something inside there. Okay. So if you click on this gallery, it's a big rectangle, but if you click near the top, it's a little bit of a smaller rectangle. And that's what you want to be clicked on before you answer your first or add your first quiz question. To do that, you click on Insert and then Label, and then it comes up with, looks like one of the quiz answers. You can see Norway and Anna, and where are all the other answers here? There should be 5 of them. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But what I want you to do is, for the text property of this label, it says this item.answer1, but you'll recall that we actually called that column in our Excel sheet questions or question. So if we type this item.question, now we can see the question in our gallery. And because it's important, what I like to do is, while I'm clicked on the gallery or the label, go back to the Home tab and click on B and semi-bold. Okay, so now it's a little bit more emphasized. Now you're probably wondering, okay, so where's the rest of my questions, Matt? Well, what you do is you click on the smaller box in the gallery and then you drag your mouse up and down and you can see that, oh, they were just hiding off the screen. That's pretty silly. We just had to resize our gallery. That happens to me all the time. You might also need to resize your label to be able to see the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the bigger gallery here and give us some more space. We don't have to see all the questions at once because we're actually going to have a scroll bar which allows us to go up and down. So that's perfect. So next we're going to add the answers to our question, or the options. What you do is you, again, make sure you're clicked on the gallery, just that smaller box there, and click Insert and Input and Radio. Okay, 1 and 2. Does that make sense, Rory? What kingdom did Anna and Elsa live in? Kingdom 1 and 2?
No, and this I'm getting a bit. I don't normally use them. I like the way you've used them, but I don't actually know what you're going to do next.
Oh, okay. Well, you're in for a real surprise here then, because this is actually really nifty. Okay. So what we do here is we click on our radio buttons. I'm going to stretch it out so I can see the answers once we put them in. So in the items property for this, we're going to clear out where it says radio sample. And I want you to click on or type the square bracket on your keyboard, right? It opens to it's the left square bracket. Then look at all these options that come in here. Okay, so I'm going to click on this item.answer1. And then I'm going to type a comma. And then I'm going to click on this item.answer2. And then a comma. And then this item.answer3. And then a comma. And once again, for this item, answer 4. And because it's the last possible answer, I'm going to click hit the square bracket on my keyboard once again, and make sure that you hit those square brackets, not the round ones. They're near the enter key. And now we can see all of the quiz questions inside of our gallery.
Really nice. Really nice.
Thanks, Rory.
Yeah, good.
So there's a little bit of magic going on behind the scenes there. If you're wondering what these square brackets means, it means that we're creating something called, a table. And a table is just a bunch of questions stacked up on top of another in one single column. All right. Now, if I click the play button on my app, I can pick my answers, and they stay there. That's pretty cool, right? Just like we were seeing in the first app there. But I want to make this look a little bit better, because I don't want this weird box coming up whenever I select an answer. And I also want to make the little dot inside here frozen blue. That's a real color. Did you know that, Rory? It's a real shade of blue. It's called frozen blue.
It's not a PowerApps one though, surely.
No, it's not a PowerApps one. That'd be pretty silly.
Well, I'm sure Brian will arrange that.
Make it happen, Brian. Make it happen, Captain. So when I'm clicked on my radio buttons here, I want to change the color so that, the ring is black and the dot is blue. So I go over here to the right-hand side, and I can see that dark blue is selected, and I want to click on black because that's what I want the rings to look like, the circles. Then over here to the left, I can change the dot to the color blue or some other color that you want. And now everything is nice and frozen blue. We still need to get rid of this little box here, and this one's a little bit tricky. You got to do a little bit of coding. So you click on the radio buttons once again, then on this drop down, and you go to focused border thickness and change it to 0, because it was creating a border that was the length of 2 pixels wide. But if we don't want to show it, we can simply set to 0. And now when I click on it, it looks really, really good. Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot here. So let's just recap for a moment. What did we do? We brought some data in from Excel. We typed out all of the questions and all of the answers. Then we imported it using this little button right over here and put it inside of a gallery. And what a gallery is a repeating type of control that repeats, the same style of title and questions over all the questions, right? So that's why we can see 5 in the list here. And then we just did a little bit of what we call styling to make it look a little better. Okay, so next, I think we should add a picture of Olaf. What do you guys think of that? We need a little bit of fun going on in our app now.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we've seen this a couple times before, how to do it. So to add a picture to your app, you click on the little music notes symbol over here on the left, and then you click on upload. Now I have pictures stored in my pictures folder, so I'm going to click on pictures right there. But if you don't have any pictures, you might just want to go on to Google and find some and save them. And I'm also going to provide the pictures from this lesson in something called GitHub, which Rory's going to share out later at the end of the lesson. So I'm going to click on Disney Frozen Olaf, and open. Oh, he's so cute. He has a little bit of a flower right there. He's so happy. And I click on that image. Great. So he's very small now. We need to see him a little bit bigger. So we can just click and drag like that. Oh, wow. He's a little bit too big now. Does anybody remember now? And it's also covering part of our quiz. Does anybody remember why that's happening? We learned about this in a previous lesson with Robin and his sons. And that's because Olaf, the image, is sitting over top of the gallery right here. So what we need to do is we need to move it down. So I click on these three little dots and then reorder and send to the back. Okay, well, we've almost got this fixed. Now it's just kind of weird because there's this little bar right here. The other problem is that our gallery's background is transparent like a window, right? If you look out a window, you can see what's to the other side. And the gallery is doing the exact same thing. We want to actually just change it to have a white background. So I can click on my gallery once again, and then I can click on this drop down up here and fill. And I want you to replace anything that's in there with the word white, because it changes the fill or the background to white. Great. Next, I want to create a little title for my game that says Frozen Quiz. So I'm going to click text and label. And we are going to make this little thing bigger, stretching it out. I'm going to click the fill button and put some frozen blue background on it right there. I want to make this text white so we can see it. I am going to make it really big, clicking on that number 36 there. I'm doing lots of fun stuff here. I'm going to make it bold and italic and put it right in the center. Wow, I spent a lot of effort really making that look good. I hope it turns out great. Then I double click on that word that says text, and we can call this Frozen Quiz. Now it looks a little bit better. That's great. All right, so now we got a nice picture of Olaf there. What's the last thing that we have to do here? Does anybody else remember how this quiz game worked? What do you think, Rory? What's the last thing we should be doing here? What's the next thing we should do?
Well, you're now going to have to work out whether or not people got the right answers or not. And I'm trying to remember how you actually presented that. So you need like a button of some kind to say test or, you know, check results or something like that. And then you're going to need probably another gallery. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, I like that actually.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, you're just going to stick with the same gallery and then just make an assessment. Oh, that's nice. Nice.
So the folks who are watching at home, this is my finished app as a reference. When I click on this button, it's going to show the answers, and when I click on it again, it's going to hide it. Okay, so let's build that inside of our app. Okay, so I am going to click on my gallery, and we're going to create the first label that says correct answer to let everyone know what the correct answer is. Correct answer. And I'm going to make that nice and bold. Perfect. And a little bit bigger. That's looking great. Okay, so how do I get my correct answer in there? I'm going to create another label. And then I'm going to type in this item, which means this, this row of questions, and correct answer. What is going on here? We're getting a little bit of an error, right?
Yeah.
Invalid use of dot. What could be going on here? Oh, I see exactly what's happening. Well, this label needs to be inside the gallery, but what's happening on the left-hand menu? What do you see here? It's not.
Yes.
It's not inside there. So if you ever run into an error like that where you can't figure out why it's not finding, this item and whatever column you want, it's because you haven't placed it in the gallery. So I need to start again. Happens to me all the time. How about you, Rory?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, definitely been there. I didn't spot that actually. That's why. Do you know why? That's really good to that's why it's almost better to use that plus. Can you see the plus on the left-hand side and drag the things in?
Yeah.
So if you drag the text label in, you usually get it wrong less often. That's not a text input. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Oh,
but it's the
right.
text label. If you drag that in, you're less likely to get it wrong than if you just kind of click label, because then it'll just put it wherever it fancies putting it.
That's amazing, Rory. I didn't actually know that. So thanks for sharing that with me today. I love it when I learn something new.
We've learned a few things today.
So the correct answer to this question isn't Norway. So we're going to have to click on that label and then go to the text property. And we want to change it to this item dot correct answer.
Perfect.
So now we can see the correct answer is Arundel for the first question. Now I want to put in a little check mark to show if the answer is correct, or an X if it's not correct. So to do this, I'll click on the icons button and I'll click on a little check right here. And I'm going to change the color of this check mark to, you guessed it, frozen blue. So I'll go to frozen blue. Like I said, not official color. Hopefully somebody smart can help us with that. I'm
sure the Disney lawyers are on the case already, and they'll be knocking on your door quite soon.
House of Mouse. Okay. Now, what we want to show this check mark only if the person has clicked, if the player has clicked Arundel, and we don't want to show it if they haven't. But how do we know? How can we tell PowerApps, what answer someone has picked? So to do this, I'm going to show you using a label. We're not going to do this, keep this around for very long, but I need to do it just to show you. So this set of buttons is called Radio 1. And if I want to get what's selected inside of it, I type the word .selected. And then if I want to also get the actual word that's inside of that selection, I write .value. And now we can see all of the correct answers coming through, or all the answers coming through right there. So if I change it like this, changes along with me.
Brilliant.
That's great. So how can we actually use that? Well, in Michelle's lesson last time, we learned a little bit about logic. Logic is like the brain of your app. It helps it decide what to do. So we're going to make this, we're going to change the visible property of this check mark and use this code.
I guess you could change the icon, couldn't you? As you can make the decision, change the icon from one thing to another, or you could do another icon if you wanted.
The great thing about PowerApps is you can often do things several different ways. So we're going to type in radio.selected.value, which will come out as Arundel right now if I click on it. And we want to say if it's equal to this item.correct answer. And did I get that right?
It's a little teeny quote. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So if you can't find what you're looking for, just scroll down and click on correct answer, and there you go. Okay. And we don't need this anymore. We're going to delete it. If I scroll down, I didn't get very many other correct answers, but if I change it, the check mark shows up. Now let's do the X really quickly. The X is the same concept as the check mark, so just make sure you're clicked inside the field there, or the gallery. And now we're going to add an X over here, just right over top of the check mark. Don't worry about that. It's going to disappear in a moment. We're going to make it frozen blue. And I know I'm going really quickly here, but we're going to change the visible property to radio1.selected.value. And we want the X to show if it's not equal to the right answer. So we type these, two little open mouths that are kind of trying to chomp each other, and click this item, or write this item.correct answer. There we go.
Very good.
We're in business. Okay. Now the last little bit here is we want to make this button to show and to hide the answer. And I think to make this a little bit simpler, I might actually make 2 buttons, one to show the answers and one to hide the answers. So I clicked insert button up top there, and I'm going to make this one called show answers. and I'm going to give it a nice color blue. And then I'm just going to copy it. I can right click and copy, and I can right click and paste, and I can call this one hide answers. Perfect. So when I click show answers, the check and X should appear, and when I hide the answers, they should go away again. And we're going to do this using something that Peter and his sons taught us in the second lesson of PowerApps4Kids. You can go back and check it out if you need a refresher, and that's done using something called variables. So variables are used to store some data, a value inside your app, and we're going to store whether or not the question should be shown or not. So what I do is I click on show answers, and then I go to on select. And to create a variable, I write the word set and an open bracket, then I give my variable a name, and I'm going to call this show answers, and we're going to say show answers is true, just like that. Okay. And over here, we're going to do a similar thing, and we're going to say when you click hide answers, then show answers is equal to false, and false means that it's not true. We should hide them. And finally, to hide our icons here, first of all, I clicked on the check mark, and we want to say they should be visible when the show answers button is clicked. So I write a little bit of what we call this logic, but I'm going to say the word and show answers is equal to true. So what this says is when the correct answer is selected and I should show the answers, please show me the check mark. And we need to do something similar over here for the X as well. Oh, to have typed a little bit too fast, got a little bit too excited. And show answers is in this case equal to false. Okay. I guess our correct answers are also showing too. So we should probably click on both of these and change their visible properties so that when the answers should be shown by using show answers equal true over there, then they'll show up. So now when I click show answers, there you go. When I click hide answers, oh, what the heck happened here? Did I make a little bit of a mistake? I think Michelle should get that sound effect out and kind of give me a little bit of a wake up call there. So
yeah, not far off.
So what do we think happened right here? It should say show answers equals to true.
True, yeah.
Okay, and that's okay. I think like what you can see is that I might have built a lot of apps, but I still make mistakes like everybody else. But if you take a moment to think about them and work through them, you'll figure out how to fix them. So now we have a frozen quiz. There. What do you think, guys? Pretty cool, eh?
We make some noise on the chat for Matt there. I thought that was really, really interesting. I've not used, yeah, exactly. I've not used radio buttons, but do you know what? They're really nice, aren't they? You can change the colors on them. That's really good. So thank you so much, Matt. It looks like we've kind of run out of time to do the more detailed version. However, I suspect you'll probably be able to share that with me, and then we can make a whole I'm going to say a tutorial out of this so that people could then follow along at their own leisure. They can honestly, that was a really, really wonderful tutorial. It was great, and people in the chat were saying, like when you make mistakes, the mistakes are as good as the tutorial. Do you know what I mean? It's a great. It was really good. It was really interesting. You could see that it was very simply made. So what I'd like to do now is I would like to first,
Rory, if I may, just for one moment, if that's all right. I will definitely share this finished app with everybody so that you can open up and explore it to see how I might have added the other questions. And if we need to record a little bit more, do something else to show you how to put it together, I'll make sure we put in the effort to do that. So thanks everyone for watching.
Depending on what your time is like, what we could do is we could finish the session if you like, and then you could continue to extend it. But it might take you, I don't know if it's going to take you 10 minutes or whatever. And if people want to stay on for that, then
sure.
Great. And if they
let's do that.
Okay.
We'll take 5 more minutes. Yep.
Brilliant. I really enjoyed that. And I think quiz is a great thing. You could see how easily Matt could have extended this. He could have made that, he could have done 20 questions and it wouldn't have been too much trouble at all. So that was really cool example of using Power Apps. As I'm a guy, I can't multitask, by the way, and I'm trying to do screen sharing at the moment. Yeah, thanks very much, Matt. Brilliant. I really enjoyed that. And the great thing with these sessions is not everyone knows what's coming in each of the sessions. So, or how someone's going to approach that particular problem. So it was really cool to see you doing that. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you the website, not to kind of do some, great big advertising campaign on it, but just to show you how you can extend your learning in the future. So if I go to PowerApps4Kids.com, what you like, here's welcome to Power Apps, and there's a little bit of some bits and pieces here. There's a bit of register for the next event. So when the next event becomes available, it'll allow you to get there more easily. There's a bit on the blog, but and there is a part for developers. But what I wanted to do was to focus on the downloads bit, because the downloads, you can see there's a number of things, and it shows you how to download things. Because once you go to the Content Explorer, it will show you loads of things that are great, but you need to know how to use them. So this bit, how to download and install Power Apps, and there's also a bit to do with MS apps, because there are slightly different types of apps. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to go to the Content Explorer, and what I'm going to show you is that you can really quickly kind of go to something cool. So I'm pretty sure that Michelle, if I go to here, I'm just going to go to animal. Now I'm just going to click the search icon, and I can see that we've got Project 7 is this Animal Farm audio game, and I'm going to go to the link here. It's going to take us off to the Power Apps for Kids Animal Farm section. What I'm going to do now is click on the Animal Farm thing, and then I'm going to click and download it. That's going to put it on my machine. Then what I'm going to go do is go to Power Apps, and I'm going to type in eu.create, because I know that's going to, that didn't take me to where I wanted to go to. This is where I need to get to. It does tell you in the instructions. Then I'm going to click open. Then I'm going to go to browse files. And then I'm going to kind of hope that this was the one that's there. So I click on there. I've already downloaded it before. Click on it. And now, within like about, 30 seconds, I'm actually going to have the Animal Farm app that Michelle created, and it's going to be on my computer any minute now. Now, you can't hear the music, I bet, because I didn't share my screen the same way. But this, I can tell you that I can't stop Animal Farm working at the moment. But how cool is that these resources you can download so easily from here? So what you can also do is, what I would encourage people to do is to go to the event type, go to hit project. Then what you do is, I need to clear this. Then you need to kind of check which project you want to do. So this could be, it could be the Animal Farm project that you want to do. And if we had more resources in there, we'd put them in there. There are actually loads of resources. Or it could be Hangman for Kids that you want to do, and there's all sorts of bits and pieces in here. Or it could be the rock, paper and scissors game, or it could be, I feel like I'm missing one here actually. I am actually missing one, so I do need to get one. I need to get another project that we've done in the past before there. But that is how simple it is for you to extend your learning on this platform. So we've come to the end of the session as such. I'm just going to return to the beginning and just remind you guys that that you can. Let me just get to remind you guys that there is a survey that the Reactor would appreciate you guys completing. So you need to go to HTTPS AKMS a Reactor survey. So if someone can just pop that into the chat, I think that will help people along. The next session will be on, it should be another Tuesday, the 18th of August. So it's a big gap, but unfortunately we've got holidays and so on chipping in there. So we couldn't manage to get that in any better time than what's available there. But I think that there's quite a lot of homework that you guys can do in the meantime. So all it remains for me to say is thank you so much for coming on to this. Please don't keep it to yourself. You know, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us, we've even got a Facebook page. So that's facebook.com/PowerApps4Kids. It's not that busy, but it will tell you about the next session. So please, please, please share what we're doing with other people, because this is an amazing tool. I've never seen the like of it, where it's just as useful for people in the workplace as it is for children, just like building really cool versions of PowerPoint. So I'm going to end the session here and say thanks very much.